Hi, today we're going to be looking at the second of 12 passages for reparenting our inner child and guiding and educating our own children or those that we come into contact with based upon the guidelines of the Rebbe as he set up 12 key passages, whether they're biblical verses or sayings of the sages, teachings from Kabbalistic Hasidic thought. These are the key teachings that we need to build who we are. What we looked at last week was the phrase that says the Torah that Moses commanded to us is the inheritance of the entire Jewish people. And we spoke there about the fact that that's an essential beginning point of departure, because if we don't accept the authority of the Torah, and if we don't feel that it is ours to work with, ours to grow with, and our personal responsibility, then we have nothing to speak about. Today, what we move on to is the key phrase for Jews: behold, hear, Shema Yisrael, hear Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one, and God is one. Why is this the key phrase that we have lived with and, God forbid, died with, sacrificing our lives for God? Because it encapsulates the very purpose of existence. So a Jew has to know, I come into a world of plurality, but my purpose over here is to reveal the underlying oneness of all creation. All people are expected to kind of pierce through this delusion. But we have a very unusual role in this, and that is captured by the phrase, hear Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And really one could say that this is an umbrella principle from which so many other aspects of life are derived. If God is one, if He's observing, supervising, caring about what I'm doing, well, then I better shape up. I have to live my life accordingly. It's not that Azav Hashem es haaretz, God created the world and left it. He's gone off somewhere. God is here and I am accountable to Him. In other arenas, one could say that the notion of understanding the oneness of God brings us to a place of happiness. I can be truly happy because I live with the notion of divine providence, that God is omniscient, that He's omnipresent, that He cares about what's happening, and that nothing happens by chance. In the arena of interpersonal relationships, when I understand that God is, so to speak, the bowl, the context in which my relationship happens, well, then I'm going to conduct that relationship very differently. So this becomes the umbrella statement, the leitmotif that flows through everything that we do. And I thought we could look at one meditation, one line of thinking on Shema that can help us to say it with more meaning and devotion, because really until we've internalized and inculcated within ourselves this reality, we haven't done what we came here to do. The last letter of the word Shema is a letter Ayin. It looks like this. The last letter of this verse from the Torah, hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, is a Daled, which looks like this. In Hebrew, the word for one is Echad. If you take the last letter of Shema, which is actually written in the text, the last letter in Ayin is a big letter, and the last letter of the word Echad, one, is also a big letter. That spells the word aid. And what we are being taught over there is this. Aid means witness. I have to be a witness to the oneness of God. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm living my life, and there's all the plurality and all of the, distractions and pleasures and challenges that come up. Constantly, I have to be a witness to the fact that all of these myriad details of creation are really subsumed in one greater whole. I am a witness to the oneness of God. And one of the ways I can come to that is through thinking about the word Shema, which means hear. That word in Hebrew is made up of 3 letters, which are called Shin, Mem, and Ayin. And they stand for a Hebrew phrase, Sa'u Marom Einechem. Raise your eyes heavenward. Now, if you notice, that is speaking about vision, sight. Look, raise your eyes up to the heavens. And that means, at a physical level, I have to just look at the world around me. Look up to the heavens, how vast they are, and I will gain an appreciation of the Creator. You know, I went to Australia a number of years ago, and I was worried about jet lag. People said to me, well, try and drink as much water as you can. When you leave your destination, set your clock. When you leave your point of departure, set your watch to your destination time. And lastly, meditate when you are on the plane. I had heard that when the Rebbe's emissary, Rabbi Groner, went to Australia, this is what someone told me, the Rebbe told him, it's a very long journey from here to Australia. There's plenty of time to throw your negative inclination out into the ocean. And I really meditated on this and thought about it. And I took discourses with me to study and contemplate on that journey about Shema, lifting one's eyes heavenward and being surrounded. It's a really watery planet. It was a most remarkable experience to spend time. It was like almost 2 days of traveling with my layover, just focused and then up in those heavens looking at God's world. Magnificent. And we have access to that sitting wherever we are. Just raise our eyes heavenward gives us a sense of the vastness of our Creator and the kindness, how beneficent God is to us in giving us all of that goodness. It also means raise my inner eye upwards to meditate and contemplate on the greatness and the unity of God. So there's that aspect of raising my eyes, marom, above, to a high place. And at the same time, I have to be listening. The word Shema actually means hear. So it's about an inner vision, thinking about the things that I see, but an inner kind of hearing. I have to internalize that. Someone once taught me a lot about prayer. And this rabbi said, obviously when you pray, you're speaking to God. But at the same time, at some level, you're speaking to your own heart. We're trying to train our heart in the practice of prayer so that we align ourselves with the will of God. So sometimes I will say Shema with more of a focus above. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, just trying to convince myself of this reality. Wake up from your delusion. This is the reality. There is no true existence other than God Himself. So this is a little bit of the notion of Shema. And what we see after this first paragraph, the second paragraph of the Shema prayer is V'ahavta, you must love God. It's significant that the paragraph after here begins with, you should love the Lord your God, because that is something that happens naturally. If we do this meditation, if we think in a different way, if we contemplate God, and that means really work at it. You know, we are told in the Bible, you'll live by the sweat of your brow. It's not just physical sweat. It could mean mental sweat. Work it through. Think it through. It's like going to the gym. We kind of accept that if I want to get fitter, I have to go to the gym. But if I want to change the way I think and feel, well, that should happen just by virtue of my wishing it to happen. No. I have to be involved in that practice of meditation, studying so that I can bring the things that I learn about to my prayer. when that happens, something else automatically happens, which the Alter Rebbe in Tanya tells us happens just by virtue of being a human being, which is this. The brain automatically, the mind automatically influences the heart. If I'm going to rectify my thinking, I will rectify my feeling. And therefore, naturally, from thinking about, could also be speaking prior to the study or during the study, focusing on this notion of the oneness of God and bringing it to my prayer, I will generate love. And in fact, the commentators say on the commandment, you must love God. How can you be commanded to love God? Isn't love a feeling in the heart which we cannot be commanded to fulfill? And the answer is, we are commanded to think and explore those things that lead to love. So at some level we can say Chabad, our consciousness is a chiropractic adjustment for the soul. Change the way that you think, it's going to change the way you feel, and that will automatically manifest in action. Until next time, have a wonderful day.